The cargo ship Morningstar moved quietly through the darkness of space. Captain Unipark stood at the bridge window and watched the stars pass by. Behind her, 2,000 colonists slept in their pods. Dreaming of their new life on Mars, they had left Earth 3 weeks ago, and everything had been peaceful. Until now, the alarm screamed through the ship. Red lights flashed on every wall. Una grabbed the console as the ship shook violently. "Report," she shouted, her second in command. Doan Kong stared at his screen with wide eyes. His face had gone pale. "Captain, we have a contact." A big one. It just appeared out of nowhere. On screen, the main display flickered to life, and Una felt her heart stop. The ship in front of them was massive. It was black and covered with strange symbols that glowed purple. It was at least 50 times bigger than the Morning Star. "What is that?" whispered Hannah M., the ship's medic. She had run to the bridge when the alarm started. Before anyone could answer, the communication system crackled. A voice came through, deep and cold. It spoke in perfect English, but the words felt wrong somehow. "This is Commander Grix of the Valoran Empire warship Divine Conquest. Your planet has been claimed by the Empire. Your species has been classified as harvest resources. You will surrender your ship and passengers immediately. Resistance is not advised." Una could hear her own heartbeat. Taiwu Shin, the chief engineer, laughed nervously. "Harvest resources. Did they just call us food?" Una pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Unipark of the cargo vessel Morningstar. We are civilians on a peaceful mission. We do not recognize your authority. Please explain what you mean by harvest resources." The alien voice returned, and this time it sounded amused. "Your understanding is not required, human. You are a primitive species. The strong will be taken for labor. The weak will be processed. This is the way of the Empire." Prepared to be boarded, Una looked at her crew. Doan's hands were shaking, but not from fear. She knew that look. "It was anger, Captain," he said quietly. "They don't know what we are, do they?" Una shook her head slowly. "No, they don't." The Valoran ship sent smaller vessels toward the Morning Star. Una watched them approach on the screen. She had a choice to make. She could surrender and hope for mercy, or she could fight and probably die. She thought about the 2,000 people sleeping behind her, families, children, old people who wanted to see Mars before they died. Young couples starting new lives. The Valorans wanted to process them. Like meat. Una pressed the ship-wide communication button. Her voice was calm and steady. "All hands, this is your captain. We have been contacted by an alien species called the Valorans. They have declared humanity as their property. They want to take us as slaves and food." She paused. "I need all crew members to battle stations. Wake the colonists. Tell them what is happening. And tell them this. They have chosen violence. Now we show them why that was a mistake." She released the button and turned to her crew. Doan cut the main lights. "All of them. Hannah, get to the medical bay and prepare for wounded. Taiwu, I need you to find me weapons. Anything. Everything." They moved without question. The first Valoran boarding party entered through the cargo hold airlock. There were 50 of them. They were tall creatures, almost 3 meters high, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were large and black, and they carried weapons that glowed with strange energy. The leader stepped forward and looked around the dark cargo hold. Emergency lights gave just enough glow to see shapes and shadows. "Humans," it announced in a bored voice. "Come forward and surrender. We will not ask twice." Silence. The Valorans looked at each other. This was not normal. Every species they had conquered came forward when ordered. Every species begged for mercy. "Search the area," the leader commanded. The soldiers spread out into the darkness. One by one. They disappeared into the maze of cargo containers and sleeping pods. The screams started 3 minutes later, on the Divine Conquest. Commander Grix watched the helmet cameras of his soldiers. He saw darkness. He heard gunfire and strange sounds. He heard his soldiers shouting in fear. Then he saw her. A human female stepped into the light of a dying soldier's helmet. She was small compared to his warriors. She had no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons of any kind. In her hands, she held a fire axe covered in purple blood. She looked directly at the camera and smiled. "Your turn," she said. The camera went dark. Grix felt something he had not felt in 300 years of conquest. His blood turned cold. His four hands trembled. "Send another team," he ordered. "Double the numbers." His advisor hesitated. "Commander, perhaps we should study these creatures more carefully before." "I gave an order." The second team entered the Morning Star, 100 soldiers, heavily armed. With full battle gear, 40 minutes later, Grix received a message from inside the human ship. It was not from his soldiers. It was from the human captain. "Commander Grix," said the calm female voice, "your soldiers are dead. All of them. I want you to understand something. We did not start this. You came to our ship. You threatened our families. You called us resources." Her voice dropped lower. "We are not resources. We are humans. And you have made a terrible mistake." Grix stared at the communication console. Around him, his bridge crew whispered in fear. "What are these creatures?" someone asked. Grix pulled up the Galactic Species database. He found the entry for humans and read the warning he had ignored. Classification: Persistence Predators. Warning: Do not engage in enclosed spaces. Do not allow them to form emotional bonds. Do not give them time to plan. Threat level: Extreme. He had broken every rule. On the Morning Star, Una stood among her people. They were scared, but they were alive. They had fought with tools, with fists, with anything they could find. And they had one. Doan appeared beside her. "Captain, I've sent everything back to Earth. Video, audio, all of it." Una nodded. "Good. Let them see. Let everyone see." She looked out at the massive Valoran warship still hovering outside. "This isn't over," she said quietly. "This is just the beginning." And somewhere far away, on a blue planet called Earth, alarms were beginning to sound. Commander Grix sent 5 more boarding teams into the Morning Star over the next 6 hours. None of them returned. His soldiers, trained warriors who had conquered 30 worlds, were being hunted like animals by creatures half their size. He could not understand it. "Show me the footage again," he ordered his advisor. The screen displayed the helmet recordings from the latest team. Grix watched as his soldiers moved through the dark corridors of the human ship. They had thermal vision, superior weapons, and centuries of combat experience. It did not matter. The humans appeared from everywhere and nowhere. They dropped from ceiling panels. They rose from beneath floor grates. They waited in shadows with patience that seemed impossible. One human male, an older man with gray hair, killed 3 Valoran soldiers with nothing but a metal pipe in his bare hands. But the worst part was not the violence. It was the coordination. The humans moved like one creature with many bodies. When one attacked from the left, another attacked from the right. When Valoran soldiers retreated, humans were already waiting behind them. They communicated without speaking, using hand signals and small sounds that meant nothing to Valoran translators. "They are pack hunters," Grix whispered. "True pack hunters." His advisor nodded slowly. "Commander, the Galactic database says humans form something called bonds, emotional connections with other beings. It makes them fight harder when their pack is threatened." Grix looked at the screen, showing the Morning Star. 2,000 humans were on that ship. 2,000 creatures who saw each other as family. He had threatened their family inside the Morning Star. Una held a meeting in the main cargo bay. Around her stood farmers, scientists, teachers, engineers, and children. Normal people who had never fought in their lives. Now they had blood on their hands and fire in their eyes. "We have taken the enemy's weapons," Una announced. "Jin has been training groups in how to use them." Jin Ru stepped forward. He was a quiet man with a kind face, but Una knew his history. 20 years in special forces before he retired to become a farmer. He had been growing vegetables on the colony ship when the Valorans attacked. Now he was growing something else entirely. The alien weapons are simple, Jin explained. Point and press. The hard part is getting close enough to use them. But we have an advantage they don't understand. What advantage? Asked a young woman holding her infant daughter. Jin smiled. They think we are afraid of the dark. They think we need light to see? They are wrong. Humans hunted at night for 200,000 years. The dark is our home. An elderly woman named Yoonbeek raised her hand. She was a botanist who studied plants. She looked like someone's grandmother. I have been examining the dead aliens, she said calmly. They have a weakness. Their eyes are sensitive to sudden bright light. A simple camera flash can blind them for several seconds. The crowd murmured with interest. Also, Yoon continued, they cannot run for long periods. They are fast, but they tire quickly. We can outlast them. Yuna felt pride swell in her chest. Her people were not giving up. They were learning, adapting, fighting. This was what humans did. On Earth. Admiral Suman Cho watched the transmissions from the Morning Star in a dark room filled with military leaders. The footage showed everything. The Valoran threats, the battles, the bodies. They called us harvest resources, said one general, his voice shaking with rage. They have taken 3 of our outer colony stations as well, reported another officer. No survivors. The populations were divided into workers and processed. Admiral Cho stood up. She was a small woman with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too many wars. How many humans have they killed? Estimated 40,000, Admiral, and they are moving toward the inner colonies. The room fell silent. Admiral Cho walked to the main screen and looked at the image of Yuna, fighting on the Morning Star. This captain, this ordinary woman had killed over 200 alien soldiers with nothing but cargo tools and determination. The Valorans think they have conquered us, Cho said quietly. They think we will surrender like every other species. She turned to face the room. Contact every nation, every military, every ship we have. I am calling for a full mobilization. Admiral, someone protested, we cannot win a war against an empire that spans hundreds of worlds. Cho smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You are thinking like them. You are thinking about numbers and technology and logical outcomes. She pointed at the screen. Look at that woman. Look at what she did with a fire axe. That is what humans are. She pressed a button, and her face appeared on screens across the planet. People of Earth, she said, we have been attacked. An alien empire has declared us property. They have killed our families. They have taken our children. Her voice hardened. I am asking for volunteers. Not because we will definitely win, but because we are human, and we do not go quietly. Within 1 hour, 50 million people had signed up. Back on the Morning Star, Yuna received a message from Earth. She read it aloud to her crew. Captain Park, hold your position. Help is coming. Admiral Cho. Duan looked at the message, and then at the Valoran warship still waiting outside. How long can we hold? As long as we need to, Yuna replied. That night, Commander Grix made a decision. If he could not take the humans alive, he would destroy their ship entirely. He ordered his weapons to charge, but something strange happened. As his ship prepared to fire, small pods launched from the Morning Star, dozens of them flying in different directions. Grix tried to track them, but they were too fast and too many.
What are those?
He demanded. His advisor checked the readings. Escape pods, Commander. But they are not running away. They are attacking us. The pods were not weapons. They were filled with humans carrying stolen Valoran guns. They attached themselves to the hull of the Divine Conquest like parasites. Then they cut their way inside. They are boarding us, Grix realized with horror. They are boarding my ship. On one of those pods, Jin Ru checked his weapon and looked at the 10 colonists with him. They were teachers and farmers and accountants. They had never fought before 3 days ago. Now they were about to attack an alien warship. Remember, Jin said, they are bigger. They are stronger. But they have never faced anything like us. They fight to win. We fight for each other. He opened the airlock. Let's show them what humans do when you threaten our family. They poured into the alien ship like water through cracks in a dam. And somewhere in the distance, hidden behind the moon, Earth was building a fleet in secret. The Valorans had started a war. They had no idea how humans finished them. 6 months passed. The galaxy believed humanity was defeated. The Valoran Empire had conquered 3 human colony worlds. They had captured the Morning Star and taken its crew as prisoners. They had established labor camps on each occupied planet. Humans worked in mines, in factories, in fields. Those who were too weak or too old were taken away and never seen again. The Empire celebrated its easy victory. High Counselor Veth addressed the galactic community from his throne room. "The human threat has been contained," he announced proudly. They were primitive creatures with no understanding of their place in the universe. Now, they served their purpose. Earth had gone silent. No transmissions. No military response. No resistance. The galaxy assumed humans had given up. They were wrong. On the occupied colony world Kepler-7, a man named Minho, you worked in a deep underground mine. He carried heavy rocks from morning until night. The Valoran guards watched him with bored expressions. He was just another slave. But when the guards looked away, Minho did something else. He talked to the other workers. He passed small notes written on scraps of cloth. He memorized names, locations, and schedules. He built a network of whispers that spread through every mine, every factory, every camp on the planet, and he waited. In a different mine on the same planet, an engineer named Narration worked with broken machinery. The Valorans did not care if equipment was old or dangerous. Slaves were easy to replace. Nari fixed the machines. But she also did something the Valorans never noticed. She took small pieces of technology from the alien systems. A wire here. A circuit there. Things too small to miss. Late at night, she built something in a hidden cave. "What is it?" Minho asked when he finally saw her work. Nari smiled. "A jamming device. When I turn this on, every Valoran communication system on the planet will go dead. They will not be able to talk to each other or call for help." "How long did it take you to build this?" 6 months. Using their own technology against them, Minho looked at the device with wonder. "You are brilliant." "I am human," Nari replied. "We solve problems. It is what we do." Similar scenes were happening on every occupied world. Humans who had been captured as slaves were learning. They studied their captors. They learned the Valoran language. They memorized patrol routes and guard schedules. They found weaknesses that the Valorans did not know they had, and they shared everything. Messages traveled between planets using methods the Valorans never suspected. Notes hidden in cargo shipments. Codes tapped on pipes. Songs sung in work fields that sounded like simple human music, but contained hidden instructions. For 6 months, the humans prepared on the Valoran homeworld. A human named Wan Li was kept in a special prison. He had been Earth's diplomatic ambassador before the war. Now he was a trophy shown to visiting dignitaries. As proof of human weakness, they did not know that Wan spent every moment listening, learning, sending information back to the resistance. Through a guard who had been bribed, with simple kindness, "Why do you help me?" Wan asked the Valoran guard one night. The guard hesitated. "You thanked me when I brought you food. No prisoner has ever thanked me before. You asked about my family? You remembered my name." The alien looked confused. "Why do you care about me?" "I am your enemy," Wan smiled gently. "Because that is who we are. We cannot help but care, even about those who hurt us." The guard was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Your people are strange, human, very strange." Back on Earth, Admiral Suman Cho stood in an underground facility that officially did not exist. Behind her, 200 warships were being completed. They had been built in secret factories on the dark side of the moon. Workers had lived underground for 6 months, away from their families, to make this possible. "The fleet is ready," reported her advisor. "All ships are armed and crewed." Cho nodded. "And the signal from the colonies? We received it this morning. All three worlds are prepared. They will move the moment we appear. The Admiral closed her eyes. This was the moment. 6 months of silence. 6 months of letting the galaxy think humans were broken. All for this. She pressed a button and spoke to every ship at once. Today we remind the universe who we are. Today, we take back our people. Today, the Valoran Empire learns why you never give humans time to plan. The fleet moved out from behind the moon. 200 ships. Built with human determination and alien technology stolen by resistance fighters, they jumped at faster than light speed and disappeared into the stars. On Kepler 7, the moment came. Minho gave the signal. Nari activated her jamming device. Every Valoran communication system on the planet died instantly. Then the humans rose. It happened at the exact same moment on all three occupied worlds. Millions of slaves who had been waiting, planning, preparing, suddenly attacked. They used hidden weapons, stolen equipment, and their own bare hands. The Valorans were completely surprised. Their slaves were supposed to be broken. Their slaves were supposed to be defeated. But humans were never defeated. They were only waiting. On the Valoran homeworld, High Counselor Veth received an emergency transmission. His face went pale as he read it. Counselor, his advisor said nervously, we are receiving reports of rebellion on all three occupied worlds. And there is something else. What? A message. From Earth. Veth opened the message. It contained only 2 words in perfect Valoran script. We remember. Then his sensors detected something impossible. 200 human warships were appearing across Valoran space. They were heading for every major Valoran world at the same time. Veth whispered. They were defeated. Their planet was silent. His advisor checked the readings again and again. They were not silent, Counselor. They were building. It's in secret. For 6 months, Veth felt real fear for the first time in his long life. He had underestimated these creatures. He had thought their silence meant surrender. It had meant preparation far away. On a prison ship traveling through Valoran space, Captain Una Park heard explosions outside her cell. She had been kept as a research subject for 6 months. The Valorans had studied her, tested her, tried to understand how such a small creature could be. So dangerous, they never found the answer. Now the ship was under attack. Human attack. Una looked at the door of her cell. It was made of strong metal, locked with complex systems. She had 6 months to study that lock, using a small piece of metal she had hidden inside her cheek. Una picked the lock in 30 seconds. She stepped out into chaos. Valoran guards ran past her, heading toward the sounds of battle. They did not even look at the small human, a woman standing in the corridor. That was their final mistake. Una found a weapon on a fallen guard. She moved through the ship like a ghost. She had survived 6 months of captivity by being patient, by learning, by never giving up. Now it was time to fight again. She reached the bridge of the prison ship and found Commander Grix, the same alien who had first attacked the Morning Star, the same alien who had called her people resources. He looked at her with pure terror. How? He asked. How are you here? Una raised her weapon. You should have killed me when you had the chance. You should have killed all of us. But you wanted to study us. You wanted to understand us? She stepped closer. You will never understand us. We are human, and we never stop fighting. The last thing Grix saw was the woman with the fire axe. The same woman from the cargo hold. The same woman who had started his nightmare. She was smiling. The war spread across Valoran space like fire through dry grass. Human ships appeared everywhere, striking targets that the Empire thought were safe. Admiral Suman Cho commanded the main fleet, but she let her captains make their own decisions. This confused the Valorans deeply. They have no central control, a Valoran general reported to High Counselor Veth. When we destroy one leader, another takes over immediately. They do not wait for orders. They just act. Veth stared at the war maps, showing human advances on every front. How do they coordinate without central control? We do not know, Counselor. They seem to just understand what each other will do. This was the thing the Valorans could not grasp. Humans trusted each other. They had spent thousands of years working together, hunting together, building together. They did not need orders because they already knew what their pack would do. Captain Yuna Park now commanded a captured Valoran cruiser. She had renamed it Phoenix and filled it with freed prisoners from labor camps. Her crew was a mix of soldiers, farmers, scientists, ordinary people who had learned to fight. She was hunting for 3 months. She tracked a Valoran fleet that had escaped the initial attacks. These were the ships that had transported prisoners. The ships that had carried humans to processing centers. Yuna wanted them all. Captain Doan said through the communication system. He was serving with Admiral Cho now, but he kept in contact with his old commander. We have located the fleet you are searching for. They are hiding near a gas giant in the outer systems. Yuna smiled grimly. Send me the coordinates, Unadoan said quietly, using her first name for the first time in months. Be careful. Intelligence says they have something big, a weapon we have not seen before. I will be careful, she replied, but I will not stop. Not until every prison ship is destroyed. On the ground, Jinru led liberation forces from camp to camp. Each time they opened the gates, they found the same thing. Humans who had been beaten, starved, and worked nearly to death. But humans who were still alive, still hoping. How did you survive? Jin asked one elderly man who had been in a camp for 4 months. The man looked at Jin with tired but fierce eyes. We told each other stories. We remembered our families. We sang songs from home. He grabbed Jin's arm. We knew you would come. We never stopped believing. Jin felt tears on his face. He was a soldier. He had seen terrible things. But this faith, this unbreakable human faith in each other, broke something inside him. We will never leave you behind, he promised. Never again. Bora Jang flew her fighter through the chaos of battle. She was 23 years old. She had been a flight instructor before the war. Now she was the most dangerous pilot in the human fleet. 40-7 combat missions. 200 confirmed kills. The Valorans had a name for her ship, the Ghost. Ghost One, you have 3 enemies on your tail, her wingman reported. I see them, Bora replied calmly. She pulled her ship into a tight spiral, using the gravity of a nearby moon to swing around behind her pursuers. 3 quick shots. 3 explosions. Ghost One, enemies eliminated. Back on the Phoenix, Yuna received disturbing news. Her crew had found a Valoran database containing information about a secret project. A weapon capable of destroying an entire planet. They call it the Purifier, Hannah reported. She had rejoined Yuna after being rescued from a medical research facility. It is located in a hidden station near the Valoran homeworld. And according to this data, it is aimed at Earth. Yuna felt cold fear grip her heart. How long until it is ready to fire? 2 days. The captain closed her eyes. 2 days. Not enough time to reach the weapon with their current forces. Not enough time to warn Earth and evacuate 8 billion people? She contacted Admiral Cho immediately. Admiral, we have a situation. Cho listened to the report without interrupting. When Yuna finished, the Admiral was quiet for a long moment. We have 2 options, Cho finally said. We can continue the offensive and hope we take the Valoran homeworld before they fire. Or we can redirect forces to destroy the weapon. If we redirect forces, we lose our advantage, Yuna said. The Valorans will regroup. The war could last years longer. Millions more will die. But if we do not stop the weapon, Earth dies. Everyone dies. They both knew what had to happen. Dohan volunteered before anyone asked. It can reach the weapon in time, he said during the emergency meeting. My ship is fast enough. I can get close while the main fleet keeps the Valorans busy. It is a suicide mission, Cho said quietly. The station is heavily defended. Even if you reach it, you would have to destroy it from inside. Doan nodded. I know. The communication channel was silent. Everyone understood what he was offering. His life for 8 billion others. I was going to die on the morning star, Doan continued. Yuna saved me. Gave me 6 more months. Those months had meaning because I spent them fighting for our people. He smiled sadly. Let me spend my last hours the same way. Yuna wanted to scream. She wanted to order him to stay, but she was a captain, and she understood duty. Doan, she said, her voice breaking. I know, he interrupted gently. I know, Captain. Finish this. For all of us. The ship left the fleet and disappeared into faster than light travel. The next 30 hours were the longest of Yuna's life. The main fleet continued its offensive, pushing toward the Valoran homeworld. They fought through defense after defense, losing ships and people with every battle, but they never stopped. Then the message came. Doan's voice was calm but strained. I've reached the station. The defenses were heavy. My ship is damaged. I will not be able to leave after I destroy the weapon. Doan, please, listen to me. When this is over, build something beautiful. Not just weapons and ships. Build parks and schools and places where children can laugh without fear. That is why we fight. Not for revenge. For a future. There was a pause. Tell the others I was not afraid. Tell them I was proud. His signal showed him entering the station's core. The energy readings spiked as he overloaded his ship's reactor. Then there was a massive explosion. The weapon was gone. Earth was safe, and Doan was gone. Yuna stood alone on the bridge of the Phoenix. Around her, crew members wept openly. Hannah put a hand on her captain's shoulder. He saved everyone, Hannah said softly. He saved everything. Yuna nodded slowly. The pain was overwhelming. But underneath the pain was something else. Something harder. Get me Admiral Cho, she said, her voice steady despite the tears on her face. When the Admiral appeared on screen, Yuna spoke clearly. The weapon is destroyed. Our home is safe. Now I am going to the Valoran homeworld, and I am going to end this war.
Ow!
Cho nodded. The entire fleet will follow you, Captain. Every last ship. Yuna looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Valorans were waiting. They had started this. They had killed her friend. They had tried to destroy her world. Now they would face humanity's answer. For Dohan, she whispered, and the fleet moved forward. The human fleet arrived at the Valoran homeworld on a cold morning 1 year after first contact. 200 ships filled the sky above the alien planet. The people below looked up and saw their end written in the stars. Hi, Counselor. Veth stood in his throne room and watched the invasion force on his screens. Around him, advisors and generals argued about what to do. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to flee. Some wanted to surrender. Veth silenced them all with a raised hand. Send a message to the human fleet, he commanded. Tell them we offer unconditional surrender. Tell them we will give them anything they want. The message was sent. The reply came from Captain Unipark. Her face appeared on every screen in the Valoran capital. She was standing on the bridge of her ship, surrounded by her crew. Behind her, Hannah, Taiwu, Jin, Bora, and Nari stood in a line. Survivors of the longest year in human history. Hi, Counselor, Yuna said. Her voice broadcast to the entire planet. 1 year ago, your people found our ship. You called us harvest resources. You took our families to be processed. You thought we would be easy prey. She paused and let her words sink in. You asked us to surrender once? We remember. We remember every moment, every person we lost, every child who cried for parents who never came back. The Valoran capital was completely silent. Millions of aliens watched the small human woman speak. I could destroy your world, Yuna continued. I have the power. My people have the anger. You would deserve it for what you did to us. Veth felt true terror. He saw his entire civilization ending in fire. But that is not who we are. The words surprised everyone, human and Valoran alike. We are pack hunters, Yuna explained. We protect our own with terrible fury. But we are also builders, dreamers. We crossed an ocean of stars because we were lonely. We brought our pets and our plants and our stories because we cannot help but love. She stepped closer to the camera. I am not here to destroy you. I am here to show you what you created. I am here to make sure you never forget. The human ships did not fire on the Valoran cities. Instead, they landed troops who moved through the streets without violence. They dismantled military bases. They destroyed weapons. They freed every human prisoner. Jinru led his forces to the prison where Ambassador Wan Li had been kept. They found him in a small cell, thin and weak, but still alive. When the door opened, Juan looked up at his rescuer with tears in his eyes. You came, he whispered. Of course we came, Jin replied. We always come for our people. He helped Juan stand and walked him out into the sunlight. For the first time in a year, the ambassador breathed free air. On the surface of the Valoran homeworld, Yuna met with High Counselor Veth in person. The tall alien looked down at the small human woman who had defeated his empire. Why? He asked. Why did you not destroy us? We would have destroyed you. Yuna considered the question carefully. Because destruction is easy. Living with what you have done is harder. She handed him a small device. This contains records of everything. Every camp, every processing center, every death. Your people will watch this. They will learn what was done in their name, and they will carry that weight forever. Veth took the device with trembling hands. You are more cruel than I imagined, Yuna replied. I am more human than you can understand. We do not just defeat our enemies. We make them better. Even if they hate us for it, the war ended not with fire but with truth. The Valoran people watched the footage of what their empire had done. Many refused to believe it at first. Then the evidence became impossible to ignore. Shame spread across their civilization like a disease. But alongside the shame came something else. Understanding. Yuna was called to speak before the Galactic Council. 12 species who had watched humanity's war with fear and fascination. They wanted to know what humans planned to do with their new power. She stood before them alone. A single human woman, facing the judgment of the galaxy. You watched us suffer, she said. You saw the Valorans attack us. You did nothing. You thought we would be destroyed like every other primitive species. The council members shifted uncomfortably. But I am not here for revenge. I am here with a warning and a promise. She activated a display showing Earth, blue and green and beautiful. This is our home. We crossed impossible distances to reach new worlds. We did not come to conquer. We came because we were curious. Because we wanted to meet others. Because we were lonely. Her voice hardened. But now you know what happens when you threaten our family? We do not start wars. We end them. We do not seek enemies. But we never forget those who hurt us. She looked at each council member directly. Leave us in peace, and we will be the best friends you ever had. We will share our medicine, our art, our stories. We will help you build better worlds. But if any of you ever think about treating humans as resources again, she smiled, and the council members felt cold fear. Remember what happened to the Valorans? Remember and be wise. The war had lasted 1 year. It cost thousands of human lives and millions of Valoran lives. Cities were destroyed. Families were broken. Wounds were created that would take generations to heal. But humanity survived. More than survived. They had announced themselves to the galaxy in fire and blood. A monument was built on Mars, in the place where the morning star had been heading before everything changed. It was a simple stone wall with names carved into it. Every human who died in the war was listed there. At the very top was one, named Duan Kong. Yuna visited the monument on the 1-year anniversary of the war's end. She was not alone. Hannah walked beside her, older now, with gray in her hair. They had been through everything together. He would have hated this much attention, Hannah said quietly. Yuna laughed softly. He would have complained about it for hours. They stood in silence for a long moment, remembering their friend. Then something unexpected happened. A small figure approached them. A Valoran child, barely taller than a human, with gray skin and wide dark eyes. The child was part of the first cultural exchange program between Earth and the reformed Valoran Republic. The child looked terrified, but it walked up to Yuna and held out a single flower. Yuna knelt down to meet the child's eyes. She saw fear there. Fear of the species that had broken an empire. Fear of the legendary human captain who haunted Valoran. Nightmares. But she also saw something else. Hope. Yuna took the flower gently. "Thank you," she said softly. The child's translator converted her words. The small alien relaxed slightly. "My parent told me humans are monsters," the child said. "But you do not seem like a monster." Yuna thought about everything she had done. The soldiers she had killed. The ships she had destroyed. The rage that had burned in her heart for a year. Maybe she was a monster. Maybe all humans were, when pushed hard enough. But that was not the whole truth. "Tell your parents something for me," Yuna said. "We are not monsters. We are humans. We fight because we love. We destroy because we protect. And when the fighting is done, we build again." She touched the flower gently. "Teach your people that we did not come to the stars looking for war. We came looking for friends. Help us find them." The child nodded slowly and ran back to its guardians. Hannah watched the child go. "Do you think they will learn?" Yuna stood up and looked at the stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. "I hope so. That is all we can do. Hope and try." She placed the flower at the base of the monument, beneath Doan's name. "We made it," she whispered to her old friend. "We survived. And now we have a chance to build something better. Just like you wanted." Stars shone down on the monument. Somewhere out there, a galaxy was learning a new lesson. Humans were not resources. Humans were not prey. Humans were the deadliest species in the galaxy. But they were also the kindest, and that made them the most. Terrifying of all, the galactic database was updated one final time. Species: human, homeworld, Earth. Classification: apex predator. Status: do not engage. Notes: they remember everything. They forgive slowly. They never stop fighting for each other. And somehow, despite all the darkness, they still believe in hope. Handle with extreme care. Or better yet, make them your friends. You will never find better ones.